Hey, everybody, it's Neo Gentrics with Food for Thought, thoughts if it were you. Today we're going to take a slight deviation from what I said I was going to talk about before. Now, I'm covering essential skills, personal skills, interpersonal skills. I'm even going to cover some leadership learning skills, presentation skills, maybe a few writing, numerical, and parenting skills later. But for the moment, let's take a step back at a personal skill that a friend of mine asked me about today. It's a little strange. Typically, I don't really like answering questions. Um, I like asking questions and making other people think about it so they can come to their own realization of what they mean. Well, my friend came to me today and he asked me a question. The question he asked is, what is anger? Of course, I had to stop and look at him like, are you serious? I mean, anger is a natural, though sometimes unwanted, irrational emotion that everybody experiences from time to time in their life. And I just looked at him. I had to ask. I mean, why would you ask me what is anger? And I mean, come to think of it, I stopped for a second. I thought, do you listen to my podcast at all? And he said he did. So, with that in consideration, I said, okay, I'll answer your question, but for all those who wonder what is anger as well, why don't I go ahead and cover that today on my podcast? So I told him I'll do a podcast on it. That way you get your answer. And if anyone else is wondering what is anger, I'll cover it for them as well. So, what is anger? Well, like I said before, it is a natural, though sometimes unwanted, irrational emotional response that most people get. Anger experts describe the emotion as a primary natural emotion that it has evolved as a way of surviving and protecting yourself from what is considered a wrongdoing. Well, let me go a little deeper into that. A little bit, not by a whole lot. Mild anger may be brought on by feeling tired, stressed, or even irritated. I can definitely testify to this as I'm irritated about maybe 75% of the time. In fact, we are more likely to feel irritated if our basic human needs such as food, shelter, even sex and sleep, etc., are not met or are jeopardized in some way. We also may become angry when reacting to frustration, criticism that we don't like, or a threat. And it's not necessarily a bad or inappropriate reaction, but however, the way you go about it can be kind of negative. We can also feel irritated by other people's beliefs, opinions, actions, hence anger can affect our ability to communicate effectively, making us more likely to say or do unreasonable or irrational things. Being unreasonable or irrational can lead others around us to feel threatened, even resentful or angry themselves, or, again, these can all be barriers to effective communication. Anger can also be a secondary emotion to feeling sad, frightened, threatened, or even lonely. It's useful to try to understand why you or somebody else is feeling angry at any given time. So, the root causes can be addressed and problems solved. However, anger is not just a state of mind. It can trigger physical changes, including an increased heart rate, blood pressure. Levels of hormones such as adrenaline prepared us physically for a fight. That's why a lot of people break out in fights, because they're upset. Due to these, excuse me, I can't breathe for a second there. Due to these physical effects, long-term anger can be detrimental to health and well-being. It's not exactly a healthy thing in retrospect for long-term. Now that I think about it, I'm talking about what is anger. Let me take a sidestep here, and talk about how anger is expressed. It can be expressed in many different ways. Different types of anger affect different people differently. I think I could have worded that better. And can manifest to produce different actions and even signs of anger. The most common sign of anger are both verbal and nonverbal. You can be abusive even without actually raising your hand and hitting people. And again, I'm going to go ahead and back step here a little bit. Guys, it doesn't matter how angry you are, never raise your hand to a woman. Okay? Unless you're really sincerely looking to go to jail. Or die. Anything. Anyway, it can be clear that somebody is angry from what they say or how they say it, or from their tone in their voice. Anger can also be expressed through body language and even nonverbal cues. Trying to look physically bigger, therefore more intimidating. I see this more from guys than women. Staring, frowning, clenching a fist. Some people are very internalizing with their anger, and it may be difficult to even notice any physical signs. So, it is, however, how do I put this, unusual for an actual physical attack to transpire without warning signs appearing first. Like him raising his hand, swinging at you, or making advances. And I don't know why I'm using guys as the basic response here, because I guess it's because it's common. But women do this too. It's just a little more dangerous. What makes people angry? Well, at a basic instinctual level, anger may be used as a way to help protect territory or family members. Secure or protect mating privileges, protect against loss of food or any other possessions. Let me think here. Or as a response to or perceived threats. Other reasons can be very diverse, sometimes rational, sometimes irrational. Irrational anger may mean that you have a problem with managing your anger or even accepting that you are angry. I'm covering what anger is. I guess I should cover anger management next. Yeah, I'll do that. So some common triggers to anger would be, this is going to be kind of a list. It took me a while to write this, okay? Grief or sadness, loss of a family member, friend, or loved one, rudeness, poor interpersonal skills, or just bad service. That one seems to be very, very common. I don't know why. Tiredness, since people may have shorter tempers and may be more irritable when tired. I am one of those. I have to admit it. It's unfortunate, but when I'm tired, I don't want to be bothered. Hungry. This one seems to be very common. I'm just going to leave that one alone. Injustice. For example, being bullied, humiliated, or embarrassed, or being told that you or your loved one has a serious illness. The last one is actually pretty common, but the first three are very, very common. It happens in public schools. Sexual frustration. I wouldn't know about that one too much because, I don't do that. So, money problems and the stress associated with debt, some form of stress, unrealistic deadlines, and things beyond immediate control, such as being stuck in traffic. I'm going to be honest with you guys. If you're getting upset because you're stuck in traffic, you should have left earlier. Okay? A feeling of failure or disappointment, going back to the previous topic of being stuck in traffic. Me as a prime example. Being angry as a result of taking drugs or alcohol when withdrawing from such substances. Now that one is going to be uncontrollable. If you're having issues with anger because you're doing that, I don't think I did a podcast on drugs and alcohol yet, but I will do one soon. When it comes down to that, you just need help. Okay? Having a crime committed against you or a loved one, theft, violence, sexual offenses, but also more minor things such as feeling or of being treated inappropriately. This one seems to be common. Being either physically or mentally unwell. Being in pain or living with a serious illness can lead to even feeling angry. And believe you me, it took me a while to make this list. So, let me think for a second. Even with all of that in that list, here's another question for you. Another something to think about. Can anger make you ill? Well, when we are angry, our bodies release the hormones adrenaline and what's the other one called? I think it's pronounced cortisol. The same hormones released when we encounter stress. And I will cover stress. Not today, but at another point. As a result of these releases in hormones, our blood pressure, pulse, body temperature, breathing rate may increase, sometimes to potentially dangerous levels, and it can make you very, very sick. The natural chemical reaction is designed to give us an instant boost of energy and power, and is often referred to as the fight or flight reaction. This means that the body and mind prepared for a fight or for running away from danger. I don't know which one's more common because I've never been in either, so I guess it just depends on your situation. However, people who get angry often cannot manage their anger effectively and can become ill, just as stress that is left unresolved will make you sick. Our bodies are not designed to withstand high levels of adrenaline and cortisol over long periods of time or on a regular basis. And if your body is, I think you need to go see a doctor, because that's not normal. And don't ask me what is normal. That's a debate all on its own. Some of the health problems that can and may occur as a result of being angry regularly or for an extended period can include the following. I have a short list here. I got this from my doctor. If you don't believe me, go look it up yourself or ask your doctor. Aches and pains, usually in the back and head. High blood pressure, which can, in severe cases, lead to serious complaints such as stroke or cardiac arrest. This has happened. Sleep problems, like deprivation of sleep or excessive sleeping. Problems with digestion, skin disorders, reduced thresholds for pain, impaired immune system. That last one is actually a very big problem. And, on that note, anger can also lead to psychological problems such as depression, reduced self-control, eating disorders, alcoholism, substance abuse, self-injury. It should be clear, therefore, that anger can be detrimental to your health. If anger is or becoming a problem, it should be managed, And, after having covered the question that my friend asked, what is anger? And in this big of detail, for that matter, I'm going to go ahead and cover on my next podcast how to manage your anger, for the sake of those who don't know. Then, I know I covered depression. I'm going to go back through my notes, see what I have covered, and if I haven't covered everything, I will revisit depression one more time. However, there is a topic I am going to cover next, aside from anger management, and that would be sleep. Okay? I know it's not a big a topic, and not a lot of people are interested in it, but wouldn't you at least want to be able to sleep more efficiently, more soundly, and get the optimal amount of rest you can, even in a small period of time? I would think that it's worth the trip into that topic. So I'll go ahead and cover that after I cover anger management, for those who have anger issues and are seeking for a way to resolve that. And as always, thank you for listening. You guys are great. I enjoy having you guys listen to my podcast and giving me all these really great suggestions on stuff to cover. From the essential skills, personal skills, so on and so forth. I may not be going in order with all these different things, but I'm going to go ahead and do my best to cover as many of them as I can. I'm not a guru in all these information. Remember, I'm only giving you what I know. As the questions are asked, I answer them. And this is the response that I give everybody when they listen to my podcast and they ask me, have you covered this topic yet? And if you have, which episode is it? Or if you're going to cover it, when, so I know when to listen, or at least to be looking out for it along with all my other podcasts. Because we covered so many topics in the last 62 episodes so far that, I've been a little all over the place. I haven't really been self-contained within one specific topic since I covered relationships. And on that note, I did cover relationships to the point where you are dating the other person or intending to date someone. What I have not covered It's what goes on beyond the relationship once you actually get together with the other person. And that I will be visiting a little bit later. Granted, the only reason I covered relationships was because of Valentine's. So, just to be clear, I'm not done with that topic just yet. Alright? So enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Gentrics out.